What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Bubba Cast, the only podcast dedicated to the in-ring career of Big Bubba Rogers, aka the Big Boss Man, the Guardian Angel, Ray Traylor. I am your host, Zerpy, and joining me as always is my co-host, Lacey Traylor.
Sup, Bubba?
Sup, Bubba?
How you doing, Zerp?
I'm doing great. We have an amazing show for you today. We're going to Club La Vela. WCW Spring Breakout,
Spring Break!
March 16th, 1998, live from Club La Vela in Panama City Beach, Florida. This is a club I've been to.
I've been one time as well.
I went during Spring Break, not when WCW was doing shows.
What year did you go?
Might have been. It was. I was in college, so it was post. I graduated high school in 2002, so it was probably 2003 or 4 or maybe 5. That I went. So WCW was already gone, but I went to, there was a few years where I went with a friend to Panama City Beach for spring break. And I think this was the first year where we went where we were actually like legal drinking age.
Oh, nice.
So we went to Club La Vela and there was really nothing going on. We did like hang out by the pool. It was like at night. We just went outside and there was like a tiki bar and it's like, well, this is cool. You can get
was
drinks
it a
out
sausage
here.
fest?
I don't remember. I just remember there was like they were dancing inside.
Oh,
and we went inside and we're like, "Wow, it's really crowded in here. Let's go back outside." And just, I think we ordered a couple beers and then we're like, "Well, let's just leave."
Yeah.
and we are not the type of people to like go to dance clubs anyway.
I can't.
It's not my bag. I'm much more comfortable at like a rock show.
You graduated in 2002.
Or a wrestling show.
Then I graduated in 2010.
Wow.
And then we went like
old.
that summer, and I like, oh my gosh, I maybe shouldn't say this, but I let my little sister use my ID. She was like 16, I was 18. I know. Well, anyway, and then we were in there for like 10 minutes. We drank a Red Bull, and we're like, this is not our thing.
Yeah.
We're really bad at dancing in clubs, and it was very dingy by
I was
that
never
time.
a
I don't
club
think it's still
goer.
open anymore. Yeah, we are not.
I would just go to rock shows and punk shows and
that
emo
same
shows.
trip we met the lead singer from Pantera's little sister and partied at their house on the beach.
That's cool.
It was really cool. But
Hell yeah. Would have loved to go see a Nitro
that would have been awesome
at Club La Vela because they would do this every year. The very last Nitro that ever aired
it was a
at
tradition
Club
for them
La
to
Vela.
have it at Club La Vela every year. Oh,
every
cool.
single year
the
for spring
outdoor
break.
Swimming pool.
Yeah,
was
in the
so
middle of the
sick.
pool, and it was always like, who's gonna get to be able to take a dump in the dunk
Yeah.
in the dump in the pool?
Take a dump.
Don't take a dump in the pool. It's like a scene from
It's Babe
Caddyshack.
Ruth.
Yeah, but yeah, don't do that. But yeah, someone every year gets to take a dunk in the pool, and we see what match that happens in here. But this is the day after WCW Uncensored pay-per-view. On commentary, we have Tony Schiavone, Mike Tenay, and Larry Zbyszko. That's for the first half of the show. Larry Zbyszko would always come in for the first half. Second half will be Bobby Heenan. So as I said, the Uncensored pay-per-view was the night before. We get a little recap of what happened in the main event. It was Macho Man Randy Savage versus Hollywood Hogan, both members of the NWO, but they were fighting each other in a steel cage match. The Disciple, who is a new character, I mentioned him last week because we saw him last week as the Zodiac, part of the Dungeon of Doom, but this is Ed Leslie. He was the Zodiac, he was the Booty Man, he was...
the Booty Man.
He was Brutus the Barber Beefcake, and he was the Disciple. So he just showed up for the first time as this new character, the Disciple. He interfered in the match against Macho Man, so Sting came down from the rafters, as he did a lot at this time. And he came to help Macho Man, but Macho Man decided, nope, I'm going to align with NWO. So he attacked Sting, even though he came to help him. And so he aligned with the NWO. That he made his decision.
Poor Sting, man. He
Sting?
is doing the right thing, and then everybody always it turns on him because he's just
That's
that
Sting's
guy.
career. He is constantly just his friends turning on him. Lex Luger, the Giant. I don't know who else was his RoboCop.
Yeah, now Macho Man.
Don't trust these people, Sting.
Yeah.
So the NWO theme starts to play. Tony Schiavone tells us that Sting retained the World Heavyweight title last night. DDP retained the U.S. title. Chris Jericho is still your Cruiserweight champion. And Booker T is still your Heavyweight Television champion. So members of the NWO are all coming out together. It's Hollywood Hogan, Eric Bischoff, Scott Steiner, Kurt Hennig, Rick Rude, Scott Norton, Conan, Buff Bagwell, Brian Adams, Vincent, Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, and Dusty Rhodes, baby. So wow,
red
this
jacket.
I loved it in the red jacket because I think he comes out in this video game that I have on WCW NWO Revenge. I think he comes out with Scott Hall in this game in the red jacket, and I love it. They just released the action figure of Dusty Rhodes in the NWO. He was a Build-A-Figure for the WCW Monday Night Wars line.
And so last weekend, Zerpy texted me like this picture of an action figure, and he's like, "Do you know if they're putting out a Big Bubba in the NWO thing? Maybe they are. They don't usually use this face.
Yeah, no, this torso.
This torso." And I'm like, I don't know. I haven't heard anything, but maybe they'll send us some figures if they do, and I'll be damned.
Yep, Build-A-Figure in an upcoming Monday Night Wars line is going to be Big Bubba in the NWO.
He called it so quick, and it was like the very next day. He's like, "Yep, I guess."
Yeah, they confirmed it. Yeah, because the sample they had, it was unpainted, and you're like, I can't tell who this is, and it wasn't labeled. But then they showed an actual render of it.
They're doing a shark action figure.
Yeah,
too.
the shark. I love that. We just talked about the shark in the last episode, John Tenta. So we're getting a shark action figure with an alternate head where they shaved half of his hair.
It's so awesome.
So it's very funny. So definitely going to get those. I love the Monday Night Wars line. I've been collecting them all. I've been spending a lot of money because it's hard to find them in Walmart. So sometimes I have to go to eBay. But yeah, they are Walmart exclusive, which sucks because when they're on Ringside Collectibles, I can just pre-order them and I get them.
I gotta get
no
some pictures of your setup. So
I like to just make this a chill room. It's just my home arcade.
It's so awesome, y'all.
So I just have things just playing on TV.
Party at Zerpy's house.
Party at Zerpy's house. Everyone leave me alone. Eric Bischoff is on the mic first. He praises Hogan for coming through and keeping the NWO together just when everybody thought there was going to be a split in the NWO. Hogan now on the mic says he's happy. His family is all together. He calls Kevin Nash the true giant in pro wrestling and says that he, Hogan, and the NWO has had his back this entire time. Hollywood says that Nash beat the giant right there in the center of the ring, and they all bow to him. In reality, Nash lost via disqualification the night before to the giant when Brian Adams ran in and hit the giant over the back with a baseball bat. So yeah, that didn't happen.
Family's all together.
I love this is his
beard is back.
Yeah,
in this
true.
One.
Yeah, in this one he has the mustache with the black beard.
Yep.
That's how you know he's a bad guy.
Yep.
Hollywood Hogan, and he's actually a bad guy this time, wearing all black. So and then Hogan continues. He says, "I love you" to Macho Man. He says he needed somebody like him to step over the line and test him. He says he beat Macho within an inch of his life, but now he's back in the fold with the NWO. I'm sure Macho Man loves hearing that from Hogan. Yeah. Sure, they're just all fine and dandy now. Hogan has a special surprise for Macho Man. His surprise is that Bischoff has booked a match for tonight. It'll be Macho Man and Hollywood Hogan teaming up to take on Sting and Lex Luger in tag team competition in our main event. So Sting at this point has been making a habit of coming down from the rafters to attack the NWO, or sometimes up from under the ring. But Bischoff points out that they are outdoors and in the middle of a pool. There's nowhere for Sting to come from, so he can't hide. He can't get the jump on NWO tonight. So we'll see what happens there. This is just, we're just going to plant that seed and move on.
They're all wearing like big leather jackets. It's got to be so hot.
They're the coolest guys. It is March.
Yeah, maybe it's a little cooler outside. Yeah.
Especially at night. So it's not too bad. But I do like
I'll give them that.
Hall and Nash are in their Hawaiian shirts and board shorts, which you see them out later to cut a promo. I love that. We come back from break, and the Nitro Girls are dancing in green St. Patty's Day costumes with little hats.
The dancing, it's so funny because obviously, I don't know if y'all are on TikTok, but like, it's so 90s coded, like step up coded and dances, very straight. I'm like, I could do those dances.
It's very Fly Girls from In Living Color.
Yeah.
So, but I love that they are just for every commercial break, they are out there to just like bring it back, just a little buffer between the action.
And they're in that St. Patty's Day get up, got their little leprechaun hats on.
They're very festive for this. So everybody send in your Nitro tapes, and if your Nitro party is chosen, WCW will send you a Nitro party pack so you can have a Nitro party. It's Nitro parties all the way down.
I took a picture of that screen. I won't let you take screenshots or copyright stuff.
There's a way around that. You have to change your settings in your browser to do that. Yeah, you have to change, turn off hardware acceleration or graphics acceleration, depending on what your browser calls it. And that's also how you share streams in like Discord or something. Anyway, don't legally share.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
That's all.
Allegedly, that's what you do. So yeah, send in your tapes for a Nitro party, and every week it was always just like it was either like a church group or a fraternity that would do the Nitro parties and win every week.
Nice.
So that was a thing every week. Also, just be aware they will not return your videotapes to you.
Yep.
So match number 1, finally kicking things off, we have Lodi from Raven's Flock versus Goldberg. Lodi comes out with the rest of Raven's Flock minus Raven. It's Sick Boy, Kidman, Scotty Riggs, Reese, Van Hammer, and Saturn. They all have their own. They have their own little poolside, ringside area that they sit in. That they hang out there for a little while.
It's the buddy corner.
They have little folding chairs out there and stuff. Lodi has signs. That's his gimmick. They basically stole Sign Guy Dudley's gimmick from ECW and just gave it to Lodi. So he has a sign that says Goldberg is a meathead. So just
short and sweet.
Do what you will with that. Lodi's wearing a snorkel with a mask and a pool floaty around his waist. We are in the midst of Goldberg's undefeated streak. So guess who's going to win tonight to start things off? So the bell rings. Lodi gets gorilla press slammed right off the bat. Gets a little stutter step when Goldberg tries to Irish whip him. And Goldberg kind of looks angry about that. So he whips him hard into the ropes and then spears him.
I would be so scared.
I think he was kind of like, you made me look stupid by your little stutter step, so I'm going to punish you. Yeah. So working a little stiff here, Goldberg. So yeah, he spears him, followed by the jackhammer. 1, 2, 3, Goldberg wins. No surprise here. Riggs, Kidman, Sick Boy all try to attack him one by one. We learn from movies, ninja movies. Don't attack one by one. Attack all at once. What are you doing? Just one at a time? What the hell?
Anything Goldberg can do, Braun Breaker can do better.
This is true. I will.
Yes. Like I was watching.
I will sign off on that
all
statement.
I could think is, oh my gosh, Bronson's so good.
He has probably the best spear since Goldberg.
Totally.
Goldberg was he didn't protect anybody with that spear. No. I don't think he protected anybody with any move he did.
Hit, Lodi with that spear, and I was like, oh, his brain just went
like concussed.
Yeah, that was.
But yeah, Braun Breaker has an amazing spear. I will absolutely agree with you on that. So that's it. The one by one they try to attack Goldberg, but he dispatches them. Saturn is thinking about getting in the ring. He takes his jacket off, but then he changes his mind. He's the only smart one in the flock, and we see that once he gets kicked out of the flock, it's like, you know what? It's time for Saturn to shine. So that will happen soon. We go to a break, and we come back, and Mean Gene is on the entrance ramp. He's teasing a big scoop for the WCW hotline. And he says that a legend in pro wrestling is calling it quits. Now, of course, he's going to bait you in with that. You're like, who's quitting wrestling?
Right.
It could literally be any old timer that nobody gives a shit about.
And
that's what he would do.
It's going to take 20 minutes to get to the punchline.
And it's $1.50 a minute.
$1? Oh my God. With inflation,
back in 1998,
$1.50 that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Back then, what would that be today?
Oh geez,
freaking $10.
With this inflation, and that was the racket that Mean Gene was on. He was making bank from that. Again, the rumors were he was getting 75% of the revenue from the WCW hotline.
I would have made it take forever.
He would just bait you in with that information, and then you'd be like, "Who is this guy? I don't care about this person retiring." So it is time for match number 2: Fit Finlay versus Ultimo Dragon. I want to point out that they spelled Finlay's name wrong on the graphic when he came out. The nameplate was Finley. I believe it's AY. for Finley. So it's Fit Finley versus Ultimo Dragon. This is the first time in commentary is seeing Finley without his mullet. He just cut his mullet and he bleached his hair. And so he's got the blonde kind of buzz
looks
cut.
Totally different.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks good on him. I like it. He's getting up at the time. It's 1998. Come on, let's do away with the mullets. It's all right. They're coming back in 2025.
They are.
Finley gets most of the offense up off the top of the match. Ultimo Dragon gets his comeback when he is backdropped by Finley off an Irish whip, and he sort of lands on his feet, kind of lands on one foot and one knee. He jumps up, drop kicks Finley, then Irish whips him. Ultimo Dragon was going for a body scissors, but Finley telegraphs it by holding onto the ropes. So Ultimo Dragon just tries to kip up off the ground, doesn't quite get it. So Ultimo Dragon's just kind of like fumbling each little step here. Not a good look for him. He's usually very good. I always liked Ultimo Dragon because it was really cool. He was a Japanese wrestler who trained in Mexico in the Lucha Libre style. So it was kind of cool mix of
his gold get up too.
Yeah, he had a gold outfit for this one. I like it. We got a awesome Ultimo Dragon action figure from Boss Fight Studio, and I hope they do another one because it's
get
really
on it, guys.
Cool.
Get on it.
Yes, Boss Fight Studio makes awesome action figures. So Ultimate Dragon tries to kip up. He doesn't quite get it. Finley goes to the outside. Ultimo goes for the Tiger Feint kick that Rey Mysterio kind of made famous and then eventually turned into the 619. Then Ultimo goes for a house show dive to the outside. Finley moves out of the way, and Ultimo could have just like easily landed on his feet, but instead he just face plants outside the ring. I don't know if he slipped on the mats out there or what, but he just face plants for no reason. Back in the ring, Ultimo Dragon almost gets the Dragon Sleeper on Finley, but he quickly escapes, only to get caught in it seconds later, and he taps out. Your winner is Ultimo Dragon.
Ding, 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 ding.
So yeah, great fast-paced match to start things off here. I'm sorry, this is actually the second match. I already forgot that super quick match with Goldberg to start things off. And we go to a break, and we come back, and the Nitro Girls are dancing in the ring while Shivani talks about upcoming WCW shows and how to buy tickets. More dancing.
Oh, more dancing.
I love it. It was a good way to just break up like the different segments of it. I remember going as a 13, 14-year-old and watching the Nitro Girls dance, and I was appreciative.
Let's go look at these hot girls dance, Daddy.
I remember going with, we had a neighbor who was a wrestling fan, and she would take us, me and a couple other, neighbor kids, she would take us to the shows. And I remember her and, there was another adult there who was, another neighbor. The two of them got mad at some people because I think I was we were at a Nitro and I was like, woo, Nitro Girls when they were all dancing, and someone behind us or in front of us just goes,
this is no place for children.
No, he just goes call Lumberjack, he's got wood or whatever. And she was he is a child. I didn't even hear it. I was like, what? I don't know, whatever. But
what a weird comment.
She was just that's kind of gross. Shut the fuck up, dude.
Oh my.
Yeah. So, I mean, look, I was into the Nitro Girls. He was right.
But what a weird guy. Instead, you could be thinking about titties.
I'm glad I didn't hear
about wood.
That's not even what I was going for. Where I was like, oh, I'm horny for the Nitro
I'm so proud
Girls.
of you, kid.
I'm a 13-year-old horn dog. Puppies. Fucking king.
Yeah.
All right, so the Nitro Girls, they're dancing. Tony Schiavone tells us about some upcoming shows, and it's time for match number 3. Hey, remember last episode, Scott Norton versus the Shark? Now we got Scott Norton versus Chris Adams. I'm sorry, the gentleman Chris Adams. Chris Adams was the subject of an episode of Dark Side of the Ring last season. Mm-hmm. He claims to have invented the super kick. However, Scott Norton does not give a shit, and he no-sells that super kick in this match.
Yee.
Yeah, Scott Norton comes out to the ring with his tag team partner, Buff Bagwell. Their tag team was known as Vicious and Delicious. Guess which one was which?
V&D.
V&D. It's Team VD.
Wait, okay.
Team Venereal Disease. Coming out live.
Yeah, I didn't think that one through.
Well, it is Buff Bagwell's team, so... Not far off. So Scott Norton sends Chris Adams to the outside where Buff Bagwell takes the opportunity while the ref's back is turned to smash Chris Adams' face into the barricade. This is when I noticed the flock are still in their little ringside area watching. I was like, hey, they got little front row seats. That's kind of cool. I like that. the camera cuts to Buff Bagwell outside the ring at one point. He's talking to the camera. He says, "If you could adopt me, would you?" I love that. I saw that photo you posted earlier this week of your dad with
I was
Buff Bagwell and Rick Steiner. We don't know who else was in there.
So I found out Scotty. It's Scotty Steiner and Steve McMichael.
Oh, okay. Who just passed away?
Who just passed? I posted this video or picture the day before he passed away. But I've been I'm really close friends with Travis Orndorff, and I keep telling him like we don't have any pictures of our dad together. And so I was really happy because that was it. So it's Paul Orndorff, Big Boss Man, Rick Steiner,
Buff Bagwell,
Scotty, and Steve McMichael.
Because that's all
it looked like it might have been at like a Sturgis or something.
Yeah, definitely. Because they used to do that too. That was Road Wild. Well, it was originally Hog Wild the first year, and then Harley Davidson said you can't use the term hog, referring to a motorcycle. They have that like trademarked.
Right. Okay.
So they had to change it to Road Wild.
Road Wild.
But this era of WCW is my era of WCW. Okay. 1998 is basically, in my opinion, just because I just got into wrestling at this time in like 97, but 98 I feel like in my opinion is the best year of wrestling.
Middle school and about to be a freshman in high school.
Yeah, I think I'm starting freshman in high school in 98.
Yeah.
So like, oh my God, I was all about this era of wrestling, especially WCW. Being, growing up in Atlanta, it's like, well, that is our territory. So yeah,
good times.
I love that I'm happy that you picked this because I'm like, oh yeah, I was watching this live definitely.
And I had to pick it because we had to talk about Scotty.
Yeah.
Last episode, and I'm like, let's stay on this WCW Nitro.
Definitely.
Right.
But we do. I feel like next episode we should get to some WWF stuff with his first run as Big Boss Man in the blue uniform and everything, because there's a lot of stuff that I did not see from that. So I was kind of trying to look up some episodes. There's one he's listed that for a Superstars taping. It was Big Boss Man versus Razor Ramon, and Razor Ramon Scott Hall is like one of my favorite wrestlers. And I want to try and find that, but it shows like what date it was taped on, but I can't find it.
We totally need to do that one because I posted for Scott's birthday, I posted a little clip of him versus Dad, and I didn't know they even had a match together, but yeah, totally. We definitely need to go.
And then I think they also fought in WCW as well later on, probably around this era.
I asked my mom why he left, like why he went to WCW or why, that happened. And she told me it was because my little sister was so terrible, like, and such a hard child to deal with that she, like, my dad, instead of being on the road 300 days a year, he was able to be on the road for 90 days a year and still make the same amount. So fun fact.
Well, there you go.
And back to this match.
Yeah, sorry. So Chris Adams gets his ass beat all through this match. He gets some brief offense when he does a hip toss, drop kick, and then goes to the top rope and gets a one-legged kick. But Scott Norton no-sells the kick, finishes Adams off with a shoulder breaker, followed by the pin. Your winner is Scott Flash Norton. Buff runs into the ring and throws Chris Adams to the outside. After almost every match in WCW, a winner will go talk to the camera in the corner. And I love that. They would cut like a little promo like as they're playing the music at the end of a match. And then we see footage of Miss WCW Monday Nitro contest that we mentioned earlier. They held that on the beach, and it's actually just a big Cinnaburst gum commercial. If you haven't noticed, there's Cinnaburst gum banners everywhere.
Do you remember that gum?
Yeah, of course.
It's like
Is it not around anymore?
I don't think so.
I don't know. I don't pay attention to gum.
But yeah, and it pans to what was her? It was like Miss WCW Monday Nitro.
Yeah.
And so some lore about that story is Dad got to choose there was a competition and they had like a panel of judges and Dad was a judge on
it. He was a judge.
To choose
down at the beach.
To Miss Nitro, and my mom was so mad. They got into a big old fight, I guess.
She was cute, the Miss Nitro that they chose here.
So, and Bubba had a little bit
He was in the
Too
doghouse?
many- Yeah, he was in the doghouse. A little
Oh,
one
no.
too many to drink. And yeah, Mama Traylor wasn't very
Bubba
happy
approved.
Yeah,
WCW Miss Monday
Clearly.
Nitro.
Yeah.
So so some woman won, and her reward seems to be Disco Inferno creeping on her.
Yeah.
So there's that. Oh, and she is there at Nitro by the pool. They show her. So match number 4, we have Mike Enos and Wayne Bloom versus British Bulldog and Jim the Anvil Neidhart.
Well, that's so cool. I did not know British Bulldog was in WCW. I had wondered if there was crossover there too.
Yeah, so Bulldog and Neidhart followed Bret Hart to WCW when
Okay.
Bret left after the Montreal screw job.
Oh, okay.
So they were pissed off how Vince handled the whole situation. So they were like, we're going to side with Bret.
Bye.
And Bret's jumping ship. We're jumping ship too. So they came shortly after. They had to stay for a little while to finish up their contract. And I know they then wrote Jim Neidhart into the storyline with DX, where like they made him kind of jump through hoops with them and shit. And then, then he ended up leaving.
I was texting with Georgia, Davey Boy's daughter, last week after Hall of Fame stuff.
Oh, cool.
And I was like, "Why? We need to get one of these rings. Did you see them? They're so nice. The
No.
Hall of Fame rings for this
They
class.
got new
They were
ones?
like blinged out in diamonds.
That's
I
awesome.
think. But they were really nice.
Can you just be like, can we get one?
Yeah.
Can we be grandfathered in for the
Yeah.
cool rings? Hell yeah,
Very
try and
cool
get that.
rings.
So a theme that nobody recognizes is playing as Mike Enos and Wayne Bloom come out. Nobody knows who they are, because who the fuck are these guys? The Flock are still ringside in their little area, and coming out next are British Bulldog and Jim the Anvil Neidhart. So the Hart Foundation, being Bret Hart, Owen Hart, British Bulldog, and Jim Neidhart, and Brian Pillman, was such a big deal in WWF in 1997, the year before this. But after the Montreal screw job, Bret, Bulldog, and Neidhart came to WCW, and Eric Bischoff is so fucking stupid, he didn't know how to book them. So Bret simply became a Hogan supporter, and Bulldog and Neidhart became a nothing tag team. Bulldog would eventually be back in WWF by September of 99.
So that lasted a little over a year?
Yeah, a little over a year. So they did. These guys were like the top storyline in WWF before they left, and just he completely fumbled them. I'm sick of. Sorry, I use that terminology because I'm sick of seeing that terminology used in wrestling lately. It's fucking stupid.
But he
But
did.
Eric Bischoff just did not know what to do, and Bret Hart was a huge star, and he didn't really do anything with him because Hogan didn't want to fight Bret Hart because he knows people are going to be more into Bret Hart, so he wanted to
lose.
just make him my supporter.
Ridiculous.
It's fucking stupid. So that is the Hart Foundation in WCW. So at this point, I'm actually surprised by how commentary is actually just sticking to talking about what's going on in the ring. Every now and then, in between matches, they'll mention the main events with Hogan, Macho, Sting, and Luger, which, of course, you got to mention. Those are like 4 of the biggest names in wrestling at the time. So, but they're constantly just talking about when there's a match going on in the ring. They're talking about the match in the ring. So, well, fucking done. I like that. At one point, Enos and Bloom hit a stuffed pile driver on Neidhart. Then Enos starts to roll out of the ring and then remembers that he's actually the legal man. So he rolls back in and goes for the cover, but it gets broken up by Bulldog. Now, look, I judge wrestlers in 1998 by if they were in WCW NWO Revenge on the N64 or not. And Enos and Bloom were not in the game, but Bulldog and Neidhart were, so they're the better team. That's really all you need to know. And they were in this gear that they're wearing, so you get points from me just being in my favorite wrestling game of all time. So we're back from break, and the Nitro Girls are dancing on the entrance ramp this time, up to the commentary booth.
They change bikinis every time.
I know they got little outfits.
Yep.
I love them. I love them so much. I had crushes on so many of them.
You go, girls.
One of them is
DDP's
wife. Yeah, Paige.
X.
Or I'm sorry, what's her name? Something Paige.
That's-
Kimberly Page.
Yes.
Yeah, they're no longer together.
Addie's, they come out to Southern Honor Wrestling out in Canton sometimes. And I was so cool. DDP was out there. This was last year, and had his grandbabies up there in Atticus. I was like, I need to get a picture of this, because it was just all the little kids running around. I'm like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, what a full circle moment.
So back up to the commentary booth, and Larry Zbyszko is comparing Hollywood Hogan to Caesar and says, so when Sting and Luger walk out tonight, let me implant this thought into the mind of Savage and Hogan. Beware the Ides of March. The NWO theme is playing once again. We hear the ooh yeah sound drop, so we know it's Macho Man. Eric Bischoff is coming out with Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth. Mattel, please give us an NWO Miss Elizabeth. Please make it part of the Monday Night Wars line. It would be awesome. We need a fucking NWO Miss Elizabeth. Because that's what they've been doing lately. That's why they're doing your dad. They're doing kind of the not the main group NWO, but kind of the side characters who would come out with everybody. So that's why they did Dusty and Vincent. Oh, okay. And they're doing Ted DiBiase. You're right. So it's kind of cool. I think they should do Miss Elizabeth as well. So Bischoff says, I feel nothing but love here tonight. Oh, and what an appropriate night. You know, there's nothing but iron in the words of Hollywood Hogan, nothing but truth. And Randy, I know I'm not the first tonight, but I certainly don't want to be the last. It's been a tough couple of months for all of us. And Liz, I apologize for everything that you've had to go through. But what's important is that the madness is back in NWO. What's important is, just like Hollywood said, you heard it earlier tonight. Yes, Hollywood had to beat you to within an inch of your life to see the light. But what's important is you saw the light. And Randy, welcome back. Bischoff goes in for a hug, but Macho Man pushes him back and grabs the mic. Hell no.
What do you mean, welcome back? I never left, Eric Bischoff. Here's the deal. What I did at Uncensored, I didn't do for you, and I certainly didn't do it for Hollywood Hogan. I did it for myself. I did it for life. I did it for the entire NWO. You dig it? You understand that? Let me make it real plain for you. And I want to tell you, Hollywood, this too. Stop it, brother! I'm going to predict the future for you. I'm going to beat Sting for the World Heavyweight Championship belt. Yeah. I'm going to control the NWO, and the NWO is going to control the world. And then Hollywood Hogan is going to know what it feels like to be at the bottom of the pecking order. You dig it? Ooh, yeah.
Tony Schiavone says, what we have is apparent now. Fans, a power struggle to run the NWO. Larry Zbyszko says, I think the reality just hit Bischoff in the face. His big mouth. This is the first time I haven't seen it yapping.
Yapping.
As Eric Bischoff is just going, oh, we fucked up. He's really mad. Of course he's really mad. Yeah. Like, he's just, all he's doing is trying to keep the NWO together, but he's like, look, man, I still hate you guys, and you guys are out here talking trash about me. I'm doing it for the family. If I'm doing it for the family, I'm running the family. That's the stance Macho Man is taking, and I love it. So Tony Schiavone says he signed the Madness and Hollywood to team up tonight. They still have to be a team tonight in the midst of all that. What has Bischoff done? So update, the flock is still sitting ringside in their private little area. We come back. I just want to update everybody on that.
Yeah, they're still sitting there.
They're still just hanging out. We come back from break, and Raven finally joins the rest of the flock. He's too good to be with them.
His hair is glorious.
I love Raven. We need Raven to sign a Legends deal so we can get a Raven action figure. Or even what was his Johnny Polo in WWF. We need an action figure of that character as well. Give us Raven. Come on, Raven. Sign that deal. Sign that deal. Sign that deal. Well, I mean, hopefully they want him. Scott, whatever his name is. Is it Scott Levy? I can't remember his name. It's Scotty something. There's too many Scotties in wrestling.
Lots of Scotties.
Lots of Scotties.
Lots of bronze.
Yeah, bronze Scotties. So Raven comes out. He whispers something into Saturn's ear and then makes his way into the ring. Last night was a triple threat match between Raven, Chris Benoit, and DDP for the United States Championship. Absolutely go check out that match if you've never seen it. It was probably the best match on the card, probably the best triple threat match in WCW history. Very awesome. They fought all over the arena. It was a no DQ match, uncensored, 1998. So Raven says, Chris Benoit, last night you cost me my United States title. The crowd starts chanting, Raven sucks.
Raven sucks. Raven sucks.
Because of you, that two-faced backstabbing Diamond Dallas Page is still the champ. You're a brave and valiant warrior, Chris Benoit, but unfortunately for you, it's time for me to fulfill my destiny. Unfortunately for you, it's time for this feud to end. Unfortunately for you, you must feel the even flow. DDP, it didn't have to be like this, Paige. It didn't have to be like this. You and I, we could have ruled wrestling together side by side. Did he think like he was...
Who sings the song
Darth
Even
Vader?
Flow?
Even flow. That would be Pearl Jam.
Okay.
There's a wrestler. God, what was his name? There's an indie wrestler right now who his name is, I forget. He comes out singing just Even Flow, but his name... Oh my God. I forget what it was.
I know what you're talking
but I've seen the
about.
clips on like Instagram. It's very funny.
I want to see it again now. It'll happen.
He's some indie wrestler, and yeah, he just sings the song
thought it was so
Even
good.
Flow, but it's his name over and over again. It's really fucking good.
It was so smart.
But the funny thing is, Chris Jericho's theme music in WCW was basically a ripoff of Even Flow.
Oh.
It was him, and DDP would come out to a ripoff of Smells Like Teen Spirit, and Raven would come out to the ripoff of something. Oh, it was a ripoff of Come As You Are by Nirvana.
Well, I already got Blue Oyster Cult confused.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. That's funny. Well, you're still learning. It's
Still
good.
learning.
You learn something.
I'm
every
just
week.
a 33-year-old teenage girl.
So and then he goes on to more cliches. He says, "And now there can be only one. I know the snake is out there watching, and I know that he'd want it this way. Quote the Raven, nevermore." He's referring to
It's a
somebody that like
bit.
kind of like was in their lives. I don't know if he's talking. He mentions the snake. I don't know if he's talking about Jake Roberts.
He's
But
something, because
I
they
don't
even
know.
commentary had like said something that made me think I was a reference that I wasn't getting, because he was like, and he has all these nevermores. I'm like, what is he talking about?
Well, yeah, he would always do that.
The
Quote the
Addams
Raven,
Family
nevermore.
Or is this
Well,
Edgar
Raven-
Allan Poe?
Yeah, Raven was just very emo. That was his gimmick.
Okay, yeah.
Larry Zbyszko says, "Who is the snake?" Chris Benoit makes his way out to the match. It's Raven versus Chris Benoit in match number 5. Commentary, Mike Tenay talks about the snake being a mentor to both Raven and DDP when they broke into wrestling together. But I don't know who they're talking about. I would assume it was Jake Roberts, because Jake trained DDP, and DDP helped him later in life to overcome his addictions. There was that documentary about it, a really great documentary. However, Raven was not trained by Jake Roberts. He was trained by Larry Sharp. So I don't know.
He has a mullet
That's
in
it.
this one. Chris does.
Wait, who?
Does he?
Chris Benoit?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, he was known for the mullet.
I
yeah.
love how I just asked. I was asking you a question.
I
But,
was talking about something completely
okay,
different.
I know.
That's fine. Yeah, no, Chris
Just
Benoit
noticed
had
the
had
mullet.
a great mullet here.
And I was like, that is a mullet. That
Absolutely.
is a mullet. It is.
So
I'm not
Benoit
gonna-
enters the ring. The bell rings. Benoit just stomps the shit out of Raven in the corner.
He is so freaking talented.
And he is just so full of intensity. Raven and Benoit fight all over the ringside area and up the entrance ramp. This calls back to the match from the night before at Uncensored, where they tore up the entire set. They were like throwing like people into like the little light boxes that spelled out Uncensored.
Yeah.
It was really cool. So they walk down the ramp back into the ring. Larry mentions that it almost looks like they're walking the plank. Benoit chops, because again, the wrestling ring is in the middle of a pool. They are surrounded by
Right.
water this entire time. Benoit chops Raven in the corner. Larry says, "What's that weird tattoo on his back? It looks like a gravestone." Tony says, "I'm not into reading tattoos. I don't know."
Right.
Like Tony's like, "I don't
I
give a
wanted to
shit,
know.
Larry." Larry goes, "It's a stained glass window or something. This guy's weird." Meanwhile, Larry is trying to identify a tattoo on someone's back on like a 5-inch CRT monitor in 1998 at
Yeah.
the
Good
commentary
luck, man.
booth. Benoit is standing over Raven and slapping him in the face. It's cool though, because Raven came from ECW, so this is chill. Like, as long as I'm not going through a stack of tables on fire, I'm fine. Chris Benoit hits the 3 amigos, not his usual. He usually does the 3 German suplexes in a row. Eddie Guerrero does the 3
looked
amigos.
Fucking crazy.
Well, this was an Eddie Guerrero move. He did the 3
Yeah.
amigos.
That was amazing.
Then he goes up for the flying headbutt, but Raven rolls out of the way. We are suddenly reminded that all of Raven's matches in WCW were under Raven's rules. This means no DQ. So Raven grabs a chair and he sets it up in the ring and he hits a running bulldog to Benoit onto the chair. It looks like it hurts. Very good shit. But yeah, I like that. Just any match that Raven was in, it's under Raven's rules. It's no DQ. So he's got the chair in the ring, but this bites Benoit, and a moment later he goes to snap on the crippler crossface to Raven, but as Raven goes down to the mat, he hits his head on the still set up chair in the ring. So he fucks up doing his own move. He's like, all right, let's go to ow, I hit my head. Raven hits the even flow DDT on the chair, goes for the cover, 1, 2, 3, and it's over. Raven will now go on to fight DDP at Spring Stampede. He just became the number 1 contender for just a one-on-one this time. Nice. With his even flow. Or as it was in WWE, I think they renamed it to the Raven Effect, which is the dumbest name for a move. It's the even flow DDT. Back from break, and the Nitro Girls are out again. They're dancing. In the upper section, the crowd is spraying silly string. So Bobby Heenan has now replaced Larry Zbyszko on commentary. Heenan says, don't be surprised if the NWO gets turned around into the MWO, the Macho World Order. And it's time for match number 6. It's Yuji Nagata versus Ernest the Cat Miller. Yuji Nagata still wrestling to this day in New Japan.
Nice.
He's wrestled a few matches in AEW as well.
Wow.
So Yuji Nagata comes out with Sonny Ono, which was his manager for a time, who was just a real bastard. He was the manager of Ultimo Dragon for a while too, but Ultimo Dragon fired him because he kept beating up the opponents outside.
Oh my gosh.
So it's great.
Stay in your lane.
Mike Tenay explains that the cat is trained in many different martial arts, and we're seeing him rely heavily on his Muay Thai background. Heenan says it sounds like number 48 on the menu.
Oh, I'm seeing some foreshadowing.
At this point, the crowd starts chanting boring. Which isn't fair. I don't think it's fair for this match.
Damn.
It's a fine martial arts based match. I don't think it deserves a boring chance, but maybe these guys just weren't big enough names at the time. Ernest Miller becomes a much bigger character in the next couple of years in WCW, but right now he's just kind of getting started in there. He doesn't really have a big over-the-top character, but he becomes very much like... They literally bring in James Brown at some point because of Ernest the Cat Miller. That's how over he became. They brought in the actual James Brown because he was kind of doing the James Brown gimmick as a wrestler.
Fuck yeah.
So that's how big he gets. But at this point, the crowd...
Pretty big. That's big.
Yeah. At this point, the crowd is just booing him, though.
Ungrateful kids.
Yeah. They don't understand. Well, they haven't really done much yet. The cat hits a spinning roundhouse kick from the top rope and pins Nagata in 1, 2, 3. I'm surprised Sonny Ono did not interfere. He usually does. He'd get in some karate kicks whenever they send someone to the outside. The ref's back would be turned and he'd kick them a bunch, do some karate kicks. But not this match. He didn't get the opportunity. The Nitro Girls do another dance and we go to break. And then we come back. It's match number 7, the match we're all here for. Scott Steiner versus Ray Traylor this time. This isn't Big Bubba. This is Ray Traylor.
This is Ray Traylor.
So this is freshly joined the NWO Scott Steiner with the haircut and the bleach blonde.
Right.
This is early Big Papa Pump.
This is pre Big Bad Booty Daddy.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited for this match, right? Because I've heard about it, and I was in '98. I was 7. Yes, and yeah. So we were spending a lot of time, because we'd drive down and spend time in Orlando or down at PCB. So this was a fun era.
I enjoyed traveling whenever my dad would have to go somewhere interesting for work. Yeah. And then he'd take the family with him. And so it's this is fun. We get
Let's
to
go to
have
Disney
a little
World.
Let's just make a vacation out of we have to travel anyway. So
yeah, yeah.
Like we used to go to Nashville because like he would have to do conventions there for his work.
Oh, sweet.
And I like the
Nashville's a fun little town.
at the Grand Ole Opry. So it's like, oh, if we're going to the Grand Ole Opry, that's a fun place to
and the
take everybody.
Gaylord Hotel up there. I don't know
Yeah.
if you've ever stayed there, but that's a really fun hotel.
Yeah. So that's cool. That's cool that you guys got to like travel with your dad sometimes.
So, because this is when I'm trying to remember where Rick fit into this, or was he, like, when was, okay.
I can tell you all about what's going on right now.
Okay. I need to, help me understand the drama, right?
So I do mention here that Big Bubba is going by his shoot name, Ray Traylor. When he comes out, he's actually announced as Ray Traylor. He doesn't get a graphic, though, because they try to pull up a graphic, and it, like, glitches out.
Oh, Lord.
And so he doesn't have a nameplate when he walks out, but you hear the announcer call him Ray Traylor, and commentary is referring to him as Ray Traylor. So Tony Schiavone tries to explain the history here. So Ray was once a part of the NWO. Both he and VK Wall Street, which is Mike Rotunda, IRS, yeah, Bo and Bray's daddy.
Yeah.
So he was VK Wall Street. So both Bubba and VK Wall Street were in the NWO, but they were made to leave because J.J. Dillon says that, well, their contracts are WCW contracts. So they can't side with NWO. They are being employed by WCW, so they have to fight on the side of WCW, which doesn't make any sense. So you're telling me that everyone else in the NWO signed NWO-specific contracts? Now, it did kind of make sense because as they were joining the company, they were coming in as part of NWO. So you had, the original three are Scott Hall, Kevin Nash, Hollywood Hogan.
Okay.
Then you got, like, Ted DiBiase and... See, Macho Man was already there.
But it's like, who isn't in the NWO?
And then Six came. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, there was... So, I don't understand. So, at one point, they're like, look, you can't fight for NWO. You're WCW. And then NWO's like, sorry, I guess you're not part of the team anymore. But then they would come out wearing just, like, WCW, like, crossed out T-shirts. Like, we're anti-WCW.
This NWO forever
but
is a bunch of crap.
Yeah. So... It's just very weird. So anyway, so now Ray Traylor is no longer part of the NWO. He's just independent. So both Traylor, Wall Street continue to wrestle with anti-WCW t-shirts instead of NWO t-shirts. Ted DiBiase also ends up leaving the NWO. And Ray Traylor teams up with the Steiner brothers, managed by Ted DiBiase. Then Scott Steiner turned against his brother Rick back in February at Super Brawl.
Okay.
The Steiner brothers were scheduled to defend the tag team titles against the Outsiders, and Scott attacked Rick and handed the belts to Hall and Nash, and he joined the NWO with them.
Okay, so because during this time, IRL, in real life, our parents had to tell us that we're mad at Scotty right now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So an earlier episode.
Okay.
So yeah. So they were opposing teams where your dad was in the NWO and Scotty wasn't, and then they flipped.
Yes.
Where now Sky's in the NWO and your dad isn't, and they're fighting.
And Rick isn't either.
Yeah, Rick isn't either. So Rick is kind of on his own right now. Around this time is when, unfortunately, Rick breaks Buff Bagwell's neck in a match. He came off the top rope to do a bulldog, and the way Buff Bagwell kind of like ran into the back of Rick, he kind of stuffed his neck and he broke his neck. So he's out for a little bit, but they write into the story and everything, and it's the whole thing. And he's fine afterwards. But yeah, that happened, and then Rick has to find a tag team partner of his own. At one point, he wins the tag team titles on his own, and then just gives the other tag team title to Kenny Chaos from High
Kenny.
Voltage. Which, have you met Kenny Chaos? He's a local guy.
Yeah, he's one of the. Yeah, he lived right down the street from Rick growing up.
Okay, right on.
So yeah.
So that's probably why they made him.
Yeah, I love Kenny.
I remember when I worked at a fast food restaurant back in the day, right out of high school. He came in one time, and we're just like, "Are you Kenny Chaos?" And he's like,
"Yep.
Yes, I am." And we're like, "We're wrestling fans. What's going on?" And we talked to him for a while, and he's really cool.
He's so awesome.
He seemed like a really great guy. So that is what's going on with Scott Steiner and Ray Traylor and the NWO at this point. So Heenan says, see, that's the trouble with a lot of these yo-yos. They worry about emotion and friendship. See, you never know when something like this is going to happen. Never make friends with anybody. Keep it business. Do your own thing. So everyone heed Bobby Heenan's advice. Just don't do friends. Don't be friends with anybody.
It's so funny because when Bronson was first starting out, I saw him cut a promo that was like, if you want friends, go get a dog. If you want a friend, go get a dog.
I love that. That's funny. It's funny as hell. Scott flexes his bicep and kisses it, which he becomes known for.
Oh, look. Right. And you got the Hal Haney print up here.
Yep. Oh, this is the one with all the frames of NWO. He just finished a DX one. He posted the finished one today. And I'm like, that's going to be my next one I need. Collar and elbow tie up to start off the match. Ray forces Scott into the corner. Scott has to stick his head out of the ropes to get the ref to break it up. Ray goes in for another lockup, but gets a thumb to the eye from Scott Steiner. Overhead belly-to-belly suplex from Steiner, which always looks impressive because he just goes straight over the top. And Ray is a big dude. And like the fact that Scott can just throw him over his head.
Yeah, he just slung him like it was nothing.
He always has the best belly-to-belly suplex, Scott Steiner. On commentary, they're talking about the power struggle within the NWO and how many members may want to join with Macho Man if there's a split. Spoiler, there will be a split. It will be Kevin Nash and Macho Man Randy Savage get sick of Hogan's bullshit, and they finally split off and form the NWO Wolfpack, which is the NWO Wolfpack was already a subgroup inside the NWO. I think it kind of wavered at some certain points, but I think you could say it was Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, 6 while he was still there. He's gone by this point. He went on to be X-Pac. And then you had Buff Bagwell and Conan, I believe, were kind of part of the Wolfpack. Then they expected Scott Hall to come with them. Scott Hall, when he comes back, turns out he sides with Hollywood Hogan, not his best bud Nash. But they do take, so it's Nash, Macho Man, they take Conan with them, and they take Kurt Hennig for the first couple weeks, and then Hennig turns on them. And then they recruit Lex Luger, and then finally Sting, and that's when we got the red face paint from Sting representing the Wolfpack. It was a fun time. It didn't last very long, but it was fun, especially Macho Man. Macho Man was not there for long. He breaks his leg, and then he's out for a long time, and he comes back as the slick back hair, what up, Mach? Type Mach, and then he does like a rap album.
Oh, good.
But yeah, this, as I said before, this is like my prime, like wrestling era. This was my shit. I love it.
It looks so much fun.
Scott Steiner captures Ray Traylor in a bear hug, and Ray is only able to escape by biting Scott's nose.
Yeah. What in the world?
He's just like, you know what? He tries to punch him a couple times, doesn't do it. He just goes for the nose, just biting it. But hey, it works. He released him.
Shoulda.
Scott throws Ray to the outside and throws him into the ring stairs as we go to commercial break. Back from break, and just as Scott Steiner is charging Ray in the corner, Ray gets his boot up and catches Steiner in the face with a big boot, starts to pummel him with punches. Ray uses the ring post to deliver a nutcracker.
Cheap shot.
On Scott Steiner. He just pulls legs right to that.
I love it.
If it was a video game, you hear the bell ring. Ding! Ooh. Ray Irish whips Scott Steiner against the railing around the ring and sends him over the railing into the pool with a clothesline. Finally, that's the person who gets to take the pool spot.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, surely, oh no, it's Scotty's going in the pool.
Of course.
Comes right out.
And I believe it was Kevin Sullivan the year before who took the pool spot. Each year someone gets the pool spot.
Is there only one person that goes in?
You can't do it like on every match.
Yeah,
we do see later, though, the outsiders do take a dip. Scott climbs out of the pool in the little area where the flock were chilling earlier. They're not there anymore, though. They're gone. Ray drags Steiner back into the ring. Scott says something to Ray, and Ray just punches him in the face. I couldn't understand what he said. I rewound it so many times. He says something Ray, and then Ray just punches him. Like, man, shut the fuck up. Oh yeah, and then he sends him into the corner. He sends Scott Steiner into the corner, gets up for the 10 punches. Ray climbs to the top rope. He goes for a diving crossbody. He goes for the cover, but Steiner kicks out at 2. Irish whip to Scott, followed by the big boot. Ray climbs up to the top rope again, But out comes Buff Bagwell and he crotches Ray Traylor on the top rope. Scott Steiner distracts the referee. Scott then goes into the corner, hits the Frankensteiner on Ray Traylor, slaps on the Steiner recliner until Ray quits.
Bam. Yep.
Of course, it's an NWO finish. Someone has to interfere. Buff Bagwell here. And immediately runs into the ring and starts beating up Ray with a belt. He just takes the belt off of his jeans and starts whipping Ray with it.
And then, many years later, Buff finds out what happens when you break the law in Cobb County, Georgia.
Oh, shit.
I'm just kidding.
Anyway, I don't know where to go from there. It just got real, yeah. I mean, yeah. We see a recap of what happened to the Giant in the Giant versus Kevin Nash match from Uncensored the night before. We see Bryan Adams run in and attack the Giant with a baseball bat just as the Giant was about to powerbomb Nash. Then several members of the NWO attacked the Giant. He fought them all off until Nash broke the bat over Giant's shoulder. The Giant still stood tall in the ring as the members of the NWO all walked away, and the match ended in a DQ. The Nitro Girls are out once again! Woo, Nitro Girls! Back from break, and it's Chavo Guerrero walking out, and he's followed by his uncle Eddie. Eddie taps Chavo on the shoulder, and Chavo was not expecting it. He jumps. He's like, what the hell? Eddie says, Chavo, relax, listen. After our beautiful reconciliation last Thursday night, man, I was just compelled to give you a gift. Look, this is from my heart. I want you to wear this with a lot of pride. And he hands him a T-shirt that's been airbrushed that he clearly got made on the beach. Yeah. We are in Panama City Beach, Florida. So Chavo takes a look at the shirt and throws it back to Eddie and says he's not going to wear it. Eddie says, your word is your bond. You said you were going to do what I say. You lost the match. Now you got to do what I say. So put it on. Wear it with pride and go out there and win and do what you got to do. Chavo reluctantly puts the shirt on and he walks into the ring. We see that the shirt says, my favorite wrestler is Eddie Guerrero on the front and cheat to win on the back. Which they end up making an official merch shirt later. And then this actually turns around on Eddie a couple months later because then Chavo just got annoyed with Eddie always tell him, you got to do this, you got to do that, you got to cheat to win, all this stuff. So anytime Eddie was having a match, Chavo would come out there and bug him and interfere and just screw with him. And anytime he'd lose a match, like, why didn't you cheat to win? Why didn't you cheat, Eddie? Come on, Eddie. Why can't you get it done? And so Eddie's like, you need to leave me alone.
Give him a little taste of his own medicine.
It's so funny because that's where I am watching this on my own and then going back a few months to watch this match. And I was like, oh, it's so funny because we're still at the point where Eddie's just all over Chavo and it's gonna flip in a couple months. So the match is going to be Chavo Guerrero Jr. versus Booker T. And this is for the WCW World Television Championship. Again, Booker T is the TV champion. And Booker T starts off in control, beating up Chavo, but Chavo finally takes control back as Booker is getting back in the ring and gets distracted talking to the ladies in the crowd, which opens him up to a kick from Chavo. Mike Tenay says, that lapse in concentration. Now let's see if Chavo Guerrero Jr. can take advantage. I forgot he was Junior at this point. And then, of course, if you have Junior in your name and you go to WWE, Vince hates that, so he just has you drop the Junior. Heenan says, all you got to do is hold his head under the water for like a minute and a half. You got the win. Booker T hits a leg lariat followed by his patented axe kick, then sidewalk slam. Up to the top rope goes Booker T. Schiavone says it's time to raise the roof. Tenay points out there is no roof. We're outside. Missile drop kick from the top rope from Booker T. Cover. And it's 1, 2, 3. Booker T retains the TV championship. And then we see another Cinnaburst commercial, which is footage from fans around the beach.
Cinnaburst. Well,
Cinnaburst
bite the burst.
Bite the burst.
Bite the burst.
That was their slogan. So yeah, we see 3 of the Nitro Girls are dancing in the ring. Some dude won $1,000 with some Cinnaburst gum thing that they did on the beach. And time for match number 9. It's Reese from the Flock versus DDP, Diamond Dallas Page. So once again, the Reese from the Flock comes out to no music. Diamond Dallas Page comes out to his dubbed theme. This is not his actual theme that was playing there. That his actual theme is the one that smells like Teen Spirit, but Jimmy Hart wrote it and they don't want to give Jimmy Hart money.
Aww.
DDP has his ribs taped up as he seemed to have for like a year or more at this time. In fact, his Monday Night Wars action figure comes with his ribs taped up. Tony Schiavone is telling us that DDP will be on MTV Live this Wednesday. Don't remember what that is. It wasn't TRL, so maybe it was just pre-TRL. No, this was 1998. TRL was around, so what the hell was this MTV Live?
Right.
It just wasn't Total Request Live. It was just
I
live.
don't know.
Whatever it was.
I wasn't allowed to watch it at this time.
I got banned from watching MTV when I got caught watching Beavis and Butthead at one point. And my mom overheard them, and she's like, "You are not watching that." And I was like, "Oh, man." It wasn't until the movie came out that I was like, "Am I allowed to like see this now?" And they're like, "Yeah." I was old enough. So Reese gets DDP up and brings him down with a two-handed chokeslam and says, "He's dead. I killed Paige. I killed him. It's over with." DDP is beat up from the insane triple threat match from the night before. So this is, he's kind of taking a beating here from Reese, because Reese is a giant. Reese Irish whips DDP into the ropes. DDP rebounds, float over, diamond cutter. That was the great thing about DDP at this time. He would find new innovative ways to slap on the diamond cutter. Before RKO out of nowhere, DDP was doing it with the diamond cutter. And he would just reverse moves or get you into a situation some different way. So this one was a float over, just like Rock used to do his float over DDT. He does the float over diamond cutter. He gets the win. 1, 2, 3. Diamond Dallas Page is your winner. Back from break, and it's time for another match. Match number 10. We saw this match so many times in this era. It is Chris Jericho versus Juventud Guerrera.
Juventud.
Or Hoovy for short. The Juice, they called him. This is Hoovy without a mask, because he lost his mask to Jericho. And I believe it was a championship versus mask match. And Hoovy lost, so he does not have a mask anymore. Chris Jericho's theme is also dubbed. This is the Break Your Walls Down theme, which was his WWE theme. He was not using that here, although it is his best theme, so yeah, I'm fine with it. Jericho comes out, though. He has a mic. He says, "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Monday Night Jericho. Now let's go over the list of all the trophies I've accumulated over the last little while."
So he's been doing lists for a long time.
Not only his what he's accumulated, his trophies, he also had a list of like all his moves, because right now he's feuding with Dean Malenko. Dean Malenko called himself the man of 1,000 holds. So
in real life?
Yes.
Right now he is?
Yeah.
Dean Malenko, always popping up.
Always popping up.
Okay, because you know why I'm thinking this, right? Because he made a list the last time we went.
You just made the list.
Yes. Okay. See?
His old WWE
learning.
gimmick. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
So this is like a thing. That's a real...
And so there was also a segment in WCW when he was saying, "Hey, if Dean Malenko is the man of 1,000 holds, then I'm the man of 1,004 holds. I know 4 more than Dean Malenko." And one time he came out and he had a scroll that just like he unrivaled. Yeah, it was in the ring, and he just started reading off moves during commercial breaks, and they come back.
You tried to explain this to me before, but I couldn't get it.
So yeah, Jericho's been doing lists his entire career. And he always makes T-shirts about the show he's on being named after him. So Monday Night Jericho is the actual shirt he had, and then Raw is Jericho was another shirt he had when he went to WWE.
And then he had an AEW.
Yes.
Okay. And that, because he would,
So yeah, he's always doing this. So he says, "Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Monday Night Jericho. Now let's go over the list of all the trophies I've accumulated over the last little while. We have Rey Mysterio Jr.'s knee. We have Air Quasi's mask." So Air Quasi is Hoovy. He's calling him Quasimodo ever since he stole his mask because he thinks he's ugly, like Quasimodo. And this is like shortly after Hunchback of Notre Dame came out.
Loved it. Love that movie.
So yeah, he's calling him Quasimodo because he's ugly. He doesn't have a mask. And we've got the Cruiserweight belt. And now we've got Dean Malenko's dignity, because after he lost his match to me yesterday, he took his ball and went home. And then, of course, there is my future, which is so bright I got to wear shades. I'm going to be known for generations to come, not only as an icon, not as a legend, but as a legacy. Yeah, legacy. My mom is going to be so proud of me. And Malenko, I'm going to take your Texas Cloverleaf, which was his finishing hold, and re-christen it as Jericho Maple Leaf, the Jericho Maple Leaf, and make it my hold 1005, just for you. Thank you. The match starts, and Jericho offers his left hand to Hoovy to shake, and then swings at Hoovy when he refuses to shake, but Hoovy blocks the punch. Hoovy goes for a springboard crossbody from the apron, but Jericho catches him and turns into sort of a tombstone pile driver that looked really fucking sweet. Almost like a Michinoku driver, but a tombstone, like down on his knees. It was really cool. Hoovy later catches Jericho in the corner with a Hoovy driver, which is also just a tombstone pile driver that looks sweet. He uses this as a setup for the 450 splash, his finish from the top rope. He goes up to the top, and Jericho is back up on his feet. He crotches Hoovy on the top turnbuckle. Hoovy fights back, pushes Jericho off the top rope, and then hits him with a flying body attack. Pin attempt from Hoovy only gets a 2 count. Chris Jericho gets Hoovy up for a power bomb, but then Hoovy counters it into a DDT. Cover by Juventud, but only gets a 2 count. But it was too close for comfort for Chris Jericho, so he decides, you know what? Screw it. He just grabs the Cruiserweight title belt and goes for Hoovy and hits him in the head right in front of the ref. He's just like, that's it. I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a DQ. I can't remember. I think this was for the championship. So he knows he's got the champion advantage. You retain the title on a DQ. So he's just going to screw it. He got real close to losing that title. He wasn't going to risk it. So your winner is Hoovy, but Jericho keeps the title. So if that's not clear. Jericho then slaps on the Jericho Maple Leaf to Hoovy. Chris Jericho retains the Cruiserweight Championship. Jericho talks to the camera and says it's a terrible hold, referencing the Maple Leaf that he just did. And he's not going to make it his hold at 1005. We come back from break, and the Nitro Girls are dancing at the top of the waterfall this time at Club La Vela, and Heenan is standing behind them, watching them. He snuck away from the commentary booth, and the rest of the commentators are loving it. They're just cracking up at Bobby Heenan over there. And the Outsiders come out. We've been hearing a lot of the NWO theme this episode. Because every other match is a fucking NWO match. So it is survey time. Scott Hall has the mic. He says, "Hey, yo. Somebody say something about spring break. Tell the party police there ain't no rules. So let's get to it. It's survey time. So everybody here to see WCW? Or is everybody here to see the NWO?" The whole crowd shouts NWO.
So
and
so good,
Scott Hall says, "One more for the good guys." Kevin Nash now on the mic says, "If you saw the pay-per-view last night, you got to see me, Big Sexy the Giant Killer, do a Mark McGuire impression and knock him out." Because he used the baseball bat to knock out the Giant. And you know, the funny thing is, I haven't seen the Giant all day. And I know he ain't got the guts to show up at spring break, because if he did, I'd give him the proverbial beating of his life. So Giant, if you're anywhere out there, I'm in a real good mood, and Scott and I want to give you a beating. He doesn't have the guts to show up. Just then the Giant shows up. He just comes walking down the ramp. He's here. No, he's absolutely here. He's like, yeah, no, I'm not scared at all. So he just walks out there, and instantly Hall and Nash are like, oh, this is a bad idea.
Projecting much?
Yeah. So they get out of the ring as Giant gets in the ring, and they're just walking around the ring. They're like, hey, we don't want any trouble here, even though they literally just called him out. And then they're about to leave, but Giant gets out of the ring, and he blocks their exit back up the ramp. So they have no choice but to jump in the pool. At least Kevin Nash does. Kevin Nash just climbs over the barricade, jumps in the pool to get away. And then Scott Hall tries to run to the other side of the ringside area, but then he trips over some cables, and the Giant grabs him, picks him up, and gorilla presses him over his head and throws him into the pool. And that's the end of just the Outsiders town hall, I guess.
Yeah.
But we come back from break, and Michael Buffer is in the ring. It's time for the main event. So let's get ready to rumble. Match number 11. Holy shit, a lot of matches. We have the main event tag team competition. We have Hollywood Hogan and Macho Man Randy Savage taking on Lex Luger and Sting. Hogan and Savage come out with Eric Bischoff and Miss Elizabeth. It's only it's only the entrance, and Hogan and Savage are already bickering at each other. Savage gets on the mic and says, "Ooh, yeah." Hogan then grabs the mic and says, "Oh, no." So I just love that. That was it. Sting's music begins to play, and Lex Luger comes out alone. Okay, so they knew Sting was going to make a separate entrance. So why not let Lex Luger come out to his own music? He's coming out to Sting's music. Like, he has his own music. So it's like, yeah, Luger, you don't get your own shit. Fuck off. We spent so much money on Sting's entrance that we're going to play his music. So Sting has still not come out. His music has been playing now. Luger's already out here. Where's Sting? Bischoff tells Luger that he's going to be dinner for the NWO, and they have quite the appetite. And they're about to attack Luger. And just then, a helicopter can be heard in the distance. The camera cuts to Sting in the helicopter above Club La Vela. It's Sting!
He's in a fucking helicopter!
So Sting rappels down from a fucking helicopter. Eric Bischoff pretends to get blown
He's
out.
so badass!
Eric Bischoff pretends to get blown out of the ring and almost into the pool. Right? By the wind being kicked up by the helicopter.
He was so tiny, he just blew away.
He blew away in the wind. Macho Man tries to leave. He's just like, fuck this. Tries to walk up the ramp, but the Disciple comes out and blocks his path on the plank to get back up the entrance ramp. Sting is still wearing his harness as the match starts, and he starts beating the shit out of Macho Man. Savage is getting beat all over the ring by Luger and Sting. Hogan is yelling at Macho Man to do something. Macho Man finally gets a tag on Hogan as Hogan's back is turned, and Hogan goes, "I don't think so. I'm not going to fight this guy." And then he just walks away. He's like, "Nah, I'm just not going to.
No, thank you.
I'm just not going to wrestle."
Thank you very much.
Savage goes after him on the outside of the ring and throws Hogan into the ring. "No, you are fucking wrestling, dude." Now Hogan and Lugan are fighting in the ring, and the Disciple and Macho Man are fighting outside the ring. The Disciple did not like Macho Man bringing Hogan back.
You wouldn't say.
But Hogan's actually holding his own against Luger here. He hits a body slam, and then he's going for his patented atomic leg drop, his finish. But Luger rolls out of the way, and he tags in Sting, and then the crowd goes fucking crazy. It's Sting and Hogan in the same ring together.
Sting
we haven't seen them.
Over.
We haven't seen them fight since December. They fought at Starrcade for the title, and they ruined the finish. So hey, maybe we get to actually see them wrestle here tonight.
I want to see Hogan get his.
Yep. Go ahead. Finish that sentence.
Get his ass kicked.
So a Stinger splash, one after another from Sting to Hogan in the corners. Bischoff is up on the apron, and Sting decks him. All four men are now finally in the ring, just fighting each other. It's pandemonium. Luger gets Hogan up in the torture rack, and the Disciple runs in to free Hogan, causing the DQ. God damn it, Ed Leslie, booty man. Why do you always have to ruin everything?
It's always some booty man.
It's always some booty man just getting in the way of everything. The timekeeper's going nuts on the bell. Ding, 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 ding. And then all the members of the NWO fill the ring, attacking Sting and Luger. Meanwhile, we see Hogan's outside with Macho Man and slamming Macho Man's head into the railing.
He's turned on Savage now, too?
Again, he does not want him.
He has no loyalty to anybody at all.
And Tony Schiavone says, "We're out of time." And that's it for this episode of
Who
Spring
won?
Breakout. It was DQ, thrown out.
No. And I guess
no winner.
What?
I guess technically Sting and Luger win.
Yeah.
Because the interference was from the NWO.
We'll take it.
We'll take it. It's a win. The titles weren't on the line.
So, wow.
I don't even know. I'm not sure who the tag team champions were here. Was it Sting and Luger? They might have been the tag team champions. No one mentions the tag team titles at all in this show. They mention like who retained their titles from the pay-per-view the night before, but no one mentions the tag team. I thought it was the Outsiders, but they came out with, maybe they didn't come out with the titles just because they knew they were going to have to take a dip in the pool. So they're like, we're not going to get the titles wet. That's a leather strap, baby.
Well, what a great episode of WCW
Fun episode.
Nitro.
It was a long one.
Monday Nitro. It was a long one.
3 hours. I always say 3 hours is too much for a pro wrestling show, including current WWE. And
it was a long one.
I can't.
So, man, thank y'all for listening along with us. Drop some recommendations in the comments.
Let us know what matches of Big Bubba, Big Boss Man you want to see, because We want to, and I think we want to do some WWF
we
stuff.
want to do some WWF Big
Some
Boss
classic
Man
Big
era.
Boss Man. So
golden
maybe we'll
era.
do that. But yeah, until next time.
And hey, give us a follow over on Instagram. It's at the BubbaCast.
Yes.
You can follow me at Lacey Laacy Abilene Abilene, and then follow Zerpie at Zerpie ZERPIE _MD over on Instagram.
That's right. And I believe I'm just Zerpy on Blue Sky over there.
Blue Sky too.
And you can also check out the podcast, obviously, anywhere you listen to your podcast, any podcatcher app, or on YouTube. We also are BubbaCast on YouTube. I think just search BubbaCast, you'll see it.
Yeah, you'll see it, Bubba. We're there.
If you want to listen to the podcast there, we just upload the audio
and
there.
Thanks to everyone for all your kind words. We're really
appreciate
enjoying this. And
leave us some comments. Let us know.
Yeah.
And leave us a 5-star rating on any of the apps you listen on. We really appreciate it. It does help.
It does help. And all right, Bubba.
That's it for this week. We'll see you next time.
See you next time, y'all.
Goodbye.